one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated. Next item is the invocation. We do not have a member of the ministry here tonight. Is there anyone in the audience or on the council that feels so moved, or staff feels so moved as to do the invocation? Chief, go ahead.
Dear Lord, thank you for this wonderful life we've been blessed with. Even through all the challenges we experience, we are still blessed beyond belief. Forgive us when we fall short. Be with our military across the world as they protect life and liberty. Be with the first responders across the country as they protect their communities. Be with our leaders tonight as they make decisions affecting our community. And all these things we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. D is audience participation. On the screen, any item on the agenda you may speak to, just fill out a form by the police chief. Moving forward to the consent agenda. 2A, action regarding minutes from June 16th. 2B, action regarding sewer easement agreement with Bunge U.S. Grain. And 2C, action regarding Chapter 380 agreement with A1 Locksmith. And that is in. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as read.
Paul? Valerie, second. Motion passes. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Councilmember Lawson is out of town, but otherwise we have a full house. So thank you, folks. Moving on. 3A is presentations and recognitions. Gabe, what do we have?
One from the fire department this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kelly, you can join me up here. Just want to give a brief introduction to a new staff member of the fire department, Kelly Hoyt. She's our administrative coordinator. She started on June 15th, kind of hit the ground running, provided much needed relief for administrative functions of the fire department, really all the support roles of the fire department to keep us running all the time. So she offices out of the area just next to the lobby there. So when somebody visits the fire department, they're greeted with a smiling face instead of a TV giving some instructions, so that's beneficial. And I'll give Kelly just a brief moment if she wants to say something.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As Chief mentioned, my name is Kelly Hoyt, and I am very excited to be a member of the Saginaw team, and I believe the first female member of the fire department. So I'm really happy to be here. And I was most recently assistant to the superintendent at the Lake Worth School District. And I was looking for a different type of employment opportunity, and I saw the ad for this position, and I applied. And I have previously also worked as a 911 dispatcher when for a short period of time when I lived up north. I'm originally from Minnesota. Most people can tell that by my accent, as they call it. I currently reside in Azle now. I've been married to my husband for almost 19 years. We have 4 kids between the ages of 12 and 19, and we've lived in Texas now for 7.5 years, and we absolutely love it down here. Warm temperatures, great. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you and getting to know you all. So, thank you.
Welcome. Glad to have you. Great to have you here. Please keep the chief in order for us.
I've been told many times that it's going to be a tough job.
It's going to be, I feel for you, but yeah, good luck. Thank you, Chief. Anything else?
Yeah, Mayor, just want to thank everybody that took part in our Independence celebration. It was a great event. Saw some of y'all out there, especially Vicki Weldon, Jason England, Erica, all of our Public Works Department, PD, Fire. It's a all hands on deck type thing. If you were not there, there's some good video. The Weenie Dog races are ridiculously entertaining. I think it's going to be a fixture next year, so we're excited. And the winner from the soft taco eating contest was 10 tacos in 10 minutes. So if you want to prepare for next year, that's your high water mark. So thanks again to everybody.
Gabe, any idea how many employees we had there?
Oh, that's a good question. 50 plus, plus volunteers.
Right.
Want to recognize our CERT CPA volunteers helped out. So
Here, here.
yeah, it's a big big effort, but it was a lot of fun.
No, fantastic event. Thanks to all the folks that contributed. It was a great event, and I know a lot of folks put a lot of time into it, but it was awesome. The people really, folks, attendees really gave some great feedback. We're really thrilled. And as you said, the wiener dog contest, I had no idea that was such a big thing. One of the entrants said, "Oh yes, you could have 60 of them. There's so many people that do that." So there you go. All right, thank you, folks. 3B is 2026-2027 budget workshop. Is that, we starting with Trenton, right? Or with,
Yep.
oh, sorry.
I didn't know if, Kim, are we good to go? I didn't know if you wanted to start. Okay. Thank y'all for having us today. We're happy to give some updates on the capital improvement plan. Jack Ernie is going to help start us off here, and then I'll take over after that. I know y'all didn't get a lot of time to look through this, so as always, feel free to ask questions as we go through, and then as we're finalizing things over the next week or two, we're happy to take any questions after tonight and get those updated.
Perfect. Well, Mayor and Council, appreciate you having us out tonight. My name is Jack Ernie. I've been working with the city of Saginaw since I started at Kinley Horn back about 7.5 years ago or so. The first project I worked on was one of the Fairmont sewer lines, so very, very connected with the community for a long time, and excited to present this for y'all. So this is 2026 CIP update. Just kind of overall, we'll go through, goodness, is it? There we go, okay. So we're going to highlight each of these areas. We'll start with water, and we'll kind of go through each of the areas of the capital improvement plan. I'll cover water and sewer, and then Trent will cover the rest. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So on the water side, the main project that we have that's going to be constructed, or is slated to be constructed in fiscal year 26-27 is the West McElroy 12-inch water line phase 2. So that's been on the budget for a couple of years. We had some issues developer-wise of, trying to make sure that this was going to be a beneficial project. It was going to connect in and create a loop for the city. That has since moved forward, so now we're ready to construct that project next fiscal year. We have the Fort Worth meter station upgrade on here. This is really a demand-driven project, so we have it pushed, or we have it slated right now for fiscal year 28-29. If we get closer to that and the demand is not there, this project can be pushed as well. It's more for a budgetary standpoint, just to make sure that we have it on there as demand grows in the system, being able to upgrade that facility to allow the city to transmit that water. And then there's the Jarvis tank rehabilitation. Overall on these tanks, every about 10 to 15 years, you want to recoat them. City staff do testing every year, I believe, on the tank, and tests have been good. So right now we're showing it in fiscal year 29-30. If those tests ever start to come back poor, we can move it up in the CIP, but that's what it's slated for right now. Any questions before we move on to the next section of the water?
Just curious about the Jarvis tank. Do we know how old that tank is? How long's that been around?
Was it 12? Is it 2012?
Was it? Okay. That's not as old as I thought.
So, all right. And then the next section here, these are developer-driven projects. So we have updated budgetary numbers on here, but as development will come in, that's when these projects would be triggered. Then the next graph you'll see, so this is the population projection. So currently the city of Saginaw is sitting at around 27,000 residents. In coordination with city staff, we've kind of determined that the build-out population is around 33,000 people for the city of Saginaw. So you'll see the green line is that historic population growth. There is a projection that the Texas Water Development Board put out in 2020. That is that red dashed line. And then in accordance working with staff, basically the overall population projection of a steady rate of about 2.5% growth per year would put you at about 2035 for build out from a population standpoint. And then the next graph is just kind of giving you an idea of water use over the last year and then kind of historic wise. So that top line is a dry weather year, so we're not getting very much rain. Expect that people will be using a lot more water. Same thing on the wet year, the inverse of that. And then that middle is the normal year, so it's just splitting the two. So last year we were right on that normal year water use for the city. And it's been relatively consistent the last 2 years. So
we anticipating that going down now with enforcement of the water restrictions and stuff?
It's one of those things that, we anticipate that it will go down. It also kind of depends on growth too, because, if you have additional growth that comes into the system and you have that, you may see it stay flat or increase slightly. It's really just kind of be dependent upon overall, and then obviously how the years go. And then this is just the water CIP map, so it's the same thing that we're showing in those breakdowns. This is just a graphic version of where those projects are located themselves. Before I move on to wastewater, any questions on the water side? Okay. All right, so looking at wastewater, we have 2 projects on the wastewater. There's the Fairmont Sewer Rehab Phase 2, which goes from Fairmont Boulevard over to Sansom Boulevard. If you look, it's a couple slides down, the actual map shows you the actual route that we're taking. So I believe on consent agenda this evening, there was one of the property owners. I believe we're down to 1 property now, 2 properties that we need to require easement on, and then from there, we're good to advertise this project. So we're anticipating being able to advertise this project still this fiscal year, and then with the majority of the work taking place next fiscal year. And then we have the I&I improvements. This came from last year. We created this project with city staff. This is just to address, issues within the system. If there are areas where they're seeing I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, essentially groundwater or stormwater getting into the sewer system, being transmitted to the city of Fort Worth. We want to minimize that as much as possible because the city is billed for every, gallon of wastewater that they send to the city of Fort Worth. So we want to minimize stuff that's not actually wastewater getting into that system. So this project is kind of slated right now for North Hampshire Boulevard going to Washington Avenue. But we can move this around as we get closer to that project as far as if there's issued areas in the city. Looking at city staff's information, they have smart covers, which basically tell you spikes in the water level during rain events. This is an area that we had seen spikes in, so we had initially planned for that. We can move that around, though, as that project gets closer. Any questions on that end before we talk about just wastewater demand? Perfect. So wastewater, the average demand, so same thing here with the graph. We have the wet year and dry year. Wastewater has been very consistent the last few years as far as what's being sent to the city of Fort Worth. So that's very good to see on that end of you're not seeing massive spikes that are going to ultimately cost the city more money.
All right, I have a question on this, and I'm making an assumption. I'm going to assume that our wastewater is more predictable since we've done the I&I work over the last few years. Has that made an impact on this? How does that tie together?
Yes, absolutely. So the more lines that we fix, the better the better chance we have at reducing that I&I. So it's part of, the Fairmont sewer job that is replacing a line that does have, some level of I&I issues, but is in rough shape. So replacing those older lines that have been in the ground for a long time, they're old clay pipe. Yeah. We want to replace those, and that's helping a lot on that end.
Thank you.
And then this is just a map showing those 2 projects. So we've got the actual alignment for phase 2 of the Fairmont Sewer Rehab, and then the I&I project as well. Perfect. Well, I'll pass it on to Trent for drainage.
The drainage category only has a couple projects on it. One of the more exciting ones is the Drainage System 3, which is one of the more complex drainage systems going along Business 287. So this would be a benefit to that area where we saw flooding in Popeyes, the Pizza Hut, that area. It's complicated because we have to cross TxDOT, both railroad companies, and into the National Guard for our outfall. So can't really make it much more complicated than that. Checks all the boxes. We could get federal funding, perhaps, if we wanted to. Last year, we completed the conceptual study for that, and we got a better grasp about the rough order of magnitude for cost. So the next step for that would be bringing a final design contract to get that started towards the final design, and that's what you see on here. A lot of that coordination has already started, or at least attempted to start with those entities I mentioned. One of the other projects that's new here is the Willow Creek Park pedestrian crossings. I think this is one of Randy's passion projects, but we are looking to steadily improve or add better pedestrian crossings from the west to the east in Willow Creek Park. So our plan is to steadily knock these out. I think there's about 11 of them out there that we've identified. So as the budget becomes available, we'll just keep knocking them out. There's the drainage map. Moving over to community facilities, I'm sure you noticed that the Public Works facility library remodel has started. So I think Jared mentioned that the demo is on day 2. So making some good progress there.
Can we, and this is not for you, can we just refer to that as the John Ed Peter Building? Put that down, because that's what that is. It's Public Works, it's library, but it's the John Ed Peter Building. We want to always preserve John Ed's name, so.
Yes, we can do that. And then the animal shelter added that to this as well. So I saw that the design and site prep was issued a few months ago, and so looking to get that started here soon. Community facilities. Okay, parks. You'll notice this one is blank for now. So lot of decisions to be made about the park bond that was passed. So I know, like most of the other projects in these have a really nailed down scope at this point, but I know that's still a lot of effort to be made between council, staff, and the Parks Board. So we're happy to help as those decisions are made, but as we get more clarity, we'll kind of fill this out.
Yeah, will we in the future have some like joint council and park boards meeting? Is that sort of our plan?
Yeah, I think we can. From our 21 bonds, there's still some money left, and we'll replace the 2 small playgrounds at Willow Creek Park. And then, like we did with the 21 bonds, I think we'll have a design type meeting, town hall type meeting, where people can come out. So the next playground replacement would be Sagewood, I think, or there's some others. So I guess the big one we need to talk about would be William Houston. So we'll have those kind of community meetings in the
Because
future.
I know in the past, we did a couple of those joint council meetings, and I thought those were pretty productive.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brack? I think it's a great idea at some point in the future, so.
The only one that was added here, I'll point out, is we've been working with Randy and Nikki about identifying a more realistic citywide pond attraction. And so we've come up with a couple of ideas and tried to tailor them down to kind of meet expectations. And I think we've made some really good progress in that realm. And so you'll see that the Willow Creek Pond number 10 here is a newer addition to that, and we're happy to share any of the conceptual drawings that we've created for that. I think that'll be part of the discussion as we move forward with using those funds. Come on. Okay, my favorite section. All right, my plan here is to hit on a couple of the highlights, and then I have another slide after this to talk about some of the higher priority, quicker moving projects. So I'll just hit a couple on this slide. I know it's hard to read. Old Decatur North is under construction. I know there's been a lot of comments about whether that's progressing or not, but we do have some good progress with a lot of the storm drain infrastructure. Like a lot of these roads, there's a good amount of boxes under the ground there. Most of those are in. We are 1/3 of the way through the construction timeline. And so while it feels like it's been forever, their construction timeline has always been set to finish in February of next year. My honest opinion, and talking with Bill, is that I do think we're a little behind, but I think there's definitely a great chance that they meet that deadline if they can get to work and get moving. Couple more I want to hit on here. Number 6 and 7, that's Industrial Boulevard. That's the first time this has moved from future up to current streets because it was included in the bond program. In the 5-year CIP, it shows up near the end with the idea that design would need to start in 28, 29, somewhere around there, to be able to design, bid, and construct those projects within about that 5-year window that's expected for bond streets. The next one I'll touch on is number 8. the CDBG projects, we've always built, or the last decade or so, we've built sidewalks with that project. Those are federal funds that are administered through Tarrant County. And so we plan to continue that, and we'll be building a sidewalk on Cambridge Drive up on the northern side of town. We've historically done it in, I believe it's Rancho North here on just east of City Hall, but the eligible area has changed. And you may be familiar with that, Mayor, being on the council or being on the mayor's group. So moving a little bit north with that sidewalk, and we'll hopefully get the design finished with that by end of the year and move to construction. Last one I want to hit that's kind of hard to glean just from looking at this is there's a lot of work planned for the signals on Bailey Boswell. There's really 3 or 4 different types of projects, and I'll just walk through them briefly. We've been coordinating a lot with the contractors and Public Works to repair 2 of the existing signals where the detection has failed. That's at Old Decatur and at Basswood. So there's been a lot of issues, and maybe High Country as well. I think it's actually High Country, yeah. So that should be moving any day now. We got a couple of bids, and they should be correcting those detection issues that we've had issues with the last year or so. Beyond that, we are building the signal at Jarvis. That was a federally funded project that is still moving, and we're planning for that to hopefully go to construction in early 2028, which is a year earlier than TxDOT wants it to go to construction, but we're pushing them to move it up. So we've got the repairs, the Jarvis signal. We're also working with COG for federal funds to design signal timing for the entire Bailey Boswell corridor. So the idea is that would help you flow better east and west without getting stopped at every light. That is a regional project, and it will start at 156 on the east and actually go all the way to Boat Club on the west. So I really think that's a great opportunity to improve that corridor, and that's the plan to get started on that next year or later this year. The last one I'll mention is we have made movement on the quiet zone at Bailey Boswell and Main Street. And we've gotten all the railroad agreements in place, and then we're planning to do a diagnostic meeting, which is always required to meet with them in the field to identify the required improvements. So moving, that is still going to be a 2 or 3 year process to get that permitted the way we're approaching it. Okay. I'm going to jump to these streets, but if you have any other questions, let me know. McElroy Phase 1, we've moved up significantly in the schedule. So we have finished 60% design. We're meeting with TxDOT tomorrow to coordinate some of the storm and signal scope for that design.
Can you remind us where Phase 1 is?
Yes, sorry. Phase 1 is the furthest east, so it'll be from Lavon to 156, which is Blue Mountain. We have worked to get that design. We're going to coordinate with TxDOT, and then the critical path is working with Atmos. So we've asked them to prioritize this corridor. They've started design on it, or they will start in August actually, and they're hoping to be relocated by end of the year. So the goal is to start construction early next year.
Are we gonna have to do anything with that road to get us by, because it's getting pretty bad?
I believe the collective decision was to not spend any more money on it at the moment. But happy to keep reevaluating that as we need to. It is really bad. I agree with you.
Lift kits for everybody?
McElroy Phase 3, which would be the section that's right out here, so that will span from Knowles to just short of Main Street. We are 100% complete with that design. We have 4 of the 5 franchise utilities either clear or going to be clear in the next month. We are just waiting on Zayo to relocate. Long story short, we're having some issues with them in AT&T, but we have seen positive progress in the last month. So I have it on here to start early 2027. If we get the chance to advertise it and start this fall, we would definitely take that opportunity because I know we need to spend that bond money. McElroy Phase 2 would start from including Main Street and then go to Lavon. So after today, I'm going to combine 2A and 2B from now on, and we're going to talk about it as just Phase 2. I think everyone will be excited about that because I know those letters were confusing. We are at 60% design on the Phase 2A portion, which includes the railroads. And we have the same agreements, and we're coordinating a diagnostic meeting with them. So that will start much later, but we have started that design. At some point, once maybe we get a few of these other projects either finished or into construction, we'll likely look to start the design on the remaining portion of 2 and combine those into one big plan set so we can just do one job. Yes,
Does that include the light
at Sansom?
At-
Sansom?
Sansom
Yes.
Park?
Mhm.
Okay.
Not at Spring Hollow, but it will at Sansom. And then last one I have more detail about is the other federally funded project similar to the Bailey Boswell and Jarvis signal. We are at 95% design on the Basswood sidewalks. We have gotten very positive indication that TxDOT will slide that up in the fiscal year. We're waiting on one franchise utility to relocate. Someone's out there right now already relocating, so we've been happy with the responsiveness on that
Will you
project.
remind us where, geographically, where that is?
Yeah, Basswood sidewalks are going to start from Blue Mound. They're going to be on the north side of the road or east as it kind of turns. And then it's going to go all the way to the fire station there where the sidewalk ends at the transmission lines. Any questions on streets? I'm about to get into the street assessment, the conditions, and the sump program. So any questions on the capital bond streets? Okay. So in 2022, we did our first pavement assessment. It's recommended that you redo that every 3 to 5 years. So I think we hit right in the middle at a 4-year mark. We collected data earlier this year. And we've spent some time just kind of gut checking and back checking some of the actual data that was processed, and we're feeling really good with where it's at now. So this is the overall slide, but I have 3 more slides kind of breaking down where we're at. On the left here in the gold, you have the concrete streets, and in the blue, you have the asphalt streets. On the right side, obviously, green is good, red is bad, and you can kind of see a trend between where there's asphalt and where there's red, so that's going to be kind of one of my takeaways from this new assessment. Overall, last time we were at a score of 68.5. I do believe the goal was to get to 70. I'm surprised we're there already, but we are in the 70s, so really proud and excited and that we're there. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. So 70.3 is the overall for all the city streets. We have 63% of our roads in satisfactory or good. I think that's a really good number. So we're going to be, I think that speaks to just the investment the citizens and y'all have made into the bond programs and pavement replacements. So we'll be focusing kind of on that lower end, those orange and reddish categories.
I mean, after we get McElroy and Industrial done, won't we be at like 95 or something?
It'll feel like it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Bragg?
Are those numbers just straight up, no consideration of the amount of traffic or
They're not
anything?
weighted for
It's
traffic.
just-
And if you're interested in that, there is an opportunity to weight it in that manner. I've seen larger cities do that. They call it an OCI, overall condition index, and it can weight factors like that, like traffic or significant priority for emergency response, stuff like that. So far with Saginaw, I feel like it's manageable enough to where we haven't added that layer, but I think we could if we needed to.
So Brad, you're meaning like for prioritization and things?
Yeah, because I think the 70 might be a little misleading in that, I mean, McElroy's in absolutely horrible shape, but it's a pretty busy road, whereas a lot of the green is in smaller neighborhoods, so you're not going to have near the traffic there. And so I just want to make sure that I'm looking at it appropriately and considering it. And
And that's kind of the vein of this slide here. We broke it out similarly. So in the darker blue is the 2022 scores, and the lighter blue is the 2026. And so on the very left, we have local. You can see there was a slight increase, about 1.6. from 67 to 68. Collectors, we saw a larger increase. I do think that was because Knowles, those types of bond projects really fell in that category. And then arterials too, you saw a larger jump. That, you know, that kind of speaks to what the bond program's focused on, not necessarily what the pavement maintenance budget is focused on. So I think we're seeing, in one vein, you're saying there's a lot of traffic on McRoy, and we're not seeing that much improvement, but in the other vein, that is kind of where we're spending the majority of our money right now, is on those larger roads. So we're seeing a larger increase.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm looking at the map here for the PCI.
You want him to go back? You want to go back?
Yeah. So on that one, I'm looking at Park Center.
Mm-hmm.
The middle section, I can't tell if that's missing or failed.
I can look when I get back. I do believe that is serious or failed, especially having been out there.
Yeah, it looks gray to me.
Yeah, I can check on that.
Okay.
Yeah, Park Center,
Because I know that that road's rough.
it's really
so,
rough, yeah. And it's the next in line in our sump program, so.
So I just wanted to make sure if did we just not survey it, or if it was,
Yeah.
it failed?
We can check on that. My gut says that it's just black, maybe a category further. Park Center right now is really rough because a lot of those side streets don't have a concrete valley gutter to transfer a lot of the water, especially a lot of the runoff from the storage tanks there. And so there's constantly water just eroding at that porous asphalt. And so that's why you see a lot of where the water should run, there's just missing pavement. So regardless of if it's there or not, it is a priority, and you'll see it as it's the next road after Opal that we'll be addressing with the sump program. Okay, last graph here is just another way to look at it. We saw the green is concrete, so we saw the concrete streets increase overall, and we did see the asphalt streets decrease overall. And so similarly, I think that's where we've been investing a lot of our funds right now, is building new concrete roads, which makes sense, but the asphalt is deteriorating quicker than we can catch up at the moment. So I think as y'all have your discussions, and we've been strategizing with Randy about how to get more streets, more asphalt streets addressed, that'll be a topic of discussion the next week or two. This talks about, Sean, kind of what you were just asking. So this year we'll do half of Opal. That'll be from Ruidoso up to McElroy. That'll be replacing the existing water lines, wastewater lines, and then new pavement and curb and gutter as well. We're also going to do Elkins, which is just right across the road. And then the next year, we will start on the design of the second half of Opal, all the same aspects, and then ideally after that, we'll be moving to, I guess I have it on here, TBD, but spoiler alert, we're talking about Park Center being a likely candidate for that. So we'll keep working with Jared and Randy and team to see which street makes the most sense to address the utilities and pavement at the same time. Okay, any questions?
Questions for Trent or Jack? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good update. 4A, consideration action regarding appointments, Keep Saginaw Beautiful Committee. Brack St. Clair.
Thank you, Mayor. So we had a few people move out of Saginaw and so are no longer eligible to be on the Community Garden Board. And then we actually had an application to be reappointed to the Keep Saginaw Beautiful Board come in after we had already done the appointments. So this is just to kind of do some housekeeping there. We're proposing to nominate Brian Thompson to alternate number 2 spot on Keep Saginaw Beautiful, and for the Garden Board, move Kendall Rogers from alternate 1 to place 3, move Megan Hatley Freeman from alternate number 2 to alternate number 1, and then appoint Melissa Gordon to place 2.
Any questions on that, council? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve 4A as presented.
Valerie, second. Motion passes. Thank you, Brack. Congratulations to those folks. Wish them well. All right, that ends our regular session. So at, what time are we? 6:36, pursuant to Government Code 551087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. We are in executive session. We will return to take some action and adjourn. Thank you.
Well, no, I
And it's getting warm in here, so let's get this over with.
All right, at 6:44, we're back from the executive session. We have 6A, consideration action regarding a building improvement grant. Susie?
Mr. Mayor and Council, for this item, we have a building improvement grant for 124 West McElroy. The business is El Pasito, and they have requested $7,740.12. And I believe based off y'all's recommendation, y'all were wanting to grant that full amount.
Can you remind us how much do we have left in this budget for this year?
$19,485.
Okay, excellent. Any questions, comments on this? Questions for Susie? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve 5D for the $7,740.04 for the upgrades to 124 West McElroy.
You mean 6A, right? You mean 6A? You said 5.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong, I saw 5D and then I need, okay, 6A.
Brack, second?
And the amount is 774012.
Motion passes. Thanks, Susie. Thankfully, that brings us to the end. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Valerie?
Second.
Don, second. Motion passes at 6:45. We're adjourned. Thank y'all.
Works when Nikki's not.